Coenzyme Q10. You've probably heard of it, right? Especially if you take a statin. Maybe your doctor even suggested it for muscle pain. But here's a thought. What if the main reason people take it is actually the one with the least scientific proof? Today, we're going to dig in and separate the solid facts from the fiction.
We're going to build this whole explainer around a fantastic question from a viewer named Elton. He's 71, a stroke survivor, and he's on statins. So when his cardiologist suggested CoQ10, he did what most of us would do. He connected the dots to some muscle weakness he was feeling. It's a totally logical assumption, and our goal here is to find out if he was right.
So to answer Elton's question about his muscles, we're actually going to take a little detour. It might seem a bit backwards, but first we need to talk about the heart. Because as it turns out, the most powerful, evidence-backed reason for recommending CoQ10 might not be what you think.
Okay, first things first. What is CoQ10? Well, think of it as the spark plug for your cells. It's this natural, vitamin-like substance that lives inside our mitochondria, the little power plants in our cells. And its main job is to help turn the food we eat into pure energy. And that's why you find a ton of it in the organs that work the hardest, like our hearts.
And this is where the story takes its first interesting turn. For all its fame in the statin world, for muscle pain, the best, highest quality science we have points somewhere else entirely. The strongest evidence is for its benefits to the heart itself, especially for people dealing with heart failure.
So where does this strong evidence come from? A huge chunk of it comes from a major international study called the Q-Symbio trial. Now, this wasn't just some small observation. This was the real deal. Randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled, basically the gold standard for medical research. And the results? They were pretty incredible.
Here is the big, headline-grabbing number from that study. For patients with moderate to severe heart failure, taking CoQ10 was linked to a 43% lower risk of having a major cardiovascular event. 43%. That is a massive number, the kind of result that really makes you sit up and pay attention. And it wasn't just a one-off finding. The benefits were seen across the board. The group taking CoQ10 had significantly lower death rates, not just from heart-related causes, but from all causes. They spent less time in the hospital. And they even saw improvements in something called their NYHA class, which is just a technical way of measuring how severe their heart failure symptoms are. It was a pretty clear and consistent win for heart health.
All right, so the evidence for heart health is compelling. You're thinking, okay, maybe I should check this out. But if you go to the store, you're immediately hit with another question. You'll see two different forms on the shelf, ubiquinone and ubiquinol. So what's the difference? And does it even matter which one you get?
Let's break it down. Ubiquinone is the oxidized form, the one that's all about making energy. Ubiquinol is the reduced form, and it acts as a powerful antioxidant, protecting your cells. Now, the marketing will often tell you that ubiquinol is better, that it's more bioavailable. But here's a crucial little detail. That landmark Q-Symbio study, they used the ubiquinone form.
And here's the science that makes this whole debate a lot simpler. It turns out our bodies are really, really smart. When you take the ubiquinone form, your body just goes ahead and converts it into the active antioxidant ubiquinol form all by itself. So no matter which one you swallow, it mostly ends up as ubiquinol in your blood. You can often save a few bucks by just letting your body do the conversion work.
Okay, we've established a really solid evidence for heart health. Now let's finally circle all the way back to where we started, back to Eldon's question. What about that muscle weakness? What about the muscle pains so many people associate with statins? This is the central mystery we set out to solve.
The theory itself makes perfect sense. It's actually quite elegant. Statins work by blocking a pathway in the body to lower cholesterol. But that same exact pathway is also used to make CoQ10. So the thinking goes, statins lower your CoQ10, your muscles don't get the energy they need from CoQ10, and boom, you get aches and pains. It's a very logical, clean hypothesis.
But as we often find in science, what seems logical on paper doesn't always play out so neatly in the real world. When researchers actually put this theory to the test in large groups of people, the results got pretty messy.
And the research is truly a mixed bag. For every small study you find that looks promising, you'll find a larger, more comprehensive analysis that says, not so much. Some big reviews of all the data find a tiny, statistically significant benefit, while other, equally valid reviews find no meaningful effect on pain at all. It's a scientific tug-of-war with no clear winner.
This quote from Dr. Robert Ashley at UCLA Health really captures the feeling in the medical community right now. Because the data is so conflicting and because we don't have a huge, definitive study for muscle pain like we do for heart failure, it's just really difficult for doctors to recommend it across the board for that specific purpose.
Okay, so let's put all of these pieces together. Let's get to the final verdict and finally answer Elton's question.
I think the easiest way to think about all this is to imagine a pyramid of evidence. Right at the top, the strongest, most solid part of the pyramid is the evidence for CoQ10 in heart failure. That's rock solid. A little further down, the evidence gets a bit weaker for things like blood pressure. And then way down at the very bottom, the weakest, shakiest, and most conflicted part of the pyramid, that's where you find the evidence for statin-related muscle pain.
And that right there is the great irony of CoQ10. The number one reason it's so famous, the thing Elton and so many of us assume it's for, relieving muscle pain, is actually the claim with the wobbliest legs to stand on, scientifically speaking. It's far more likely his cardiologist recommended it for its proven heart benefits, not for the muscle weakness.
Now, before we wrap up, I have to be absolutely crystal clear. I am not a doctor, and none of this is medical advice. My goal here is to give you the information to show you the science so that you can have a much more productive, informed conversation with your doctor about what's right for you.
So I'll leave you with that question. Now that you understand this pyramid of evidence, strong for the heart, murky for the muscles, what kind of conversation will you have with your doctor? You're now equipped to ask better questions and work together to figure out if CoQ10 fits into your health plan.